for there's not a collie sweeter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my channel on YouTube. Now, I am the Hawk at Large. A story will be told about him too later on. But tonight I'm going to reflect on some of the great times over Christmas where we lived in Athlone. I've told you before about my age. I am 88 years of age. And mind you, there was many changes in Christmases in my time as it was before. We do know it always got dear, and earlier on it was always goose for dinner in our house. But and apart from that, it was Athlone. Athlone was booming for its size in the time. I'd be talking, folks, about the mid-1930s. And then as we eked into the 40s and then the 50s, I was still there for that. So I did see maybe a lot of changes. Now, Christmas, like for some people, as we know, could be very affluent, and for others, maybe poor and shabby. I'll be bringing on a guest with me in a while too, and he in turn will give his views on Christmas, because in different parts of Ireland, Christmas was different. People will say no. Naturally, that the cities would have better times than the rural counties. And of course, Christmas always, apart from the toys, was always mixed with tunes, Christmas songs. Earlier on, it was repetitive because it was some of the old tunes years ago. But as the decades passed, well, different songs came to the fore. And so I'm going to start off tonight with one, actually, and it goes back a bit. It's called Christmas Island. Now, Christmas Island, strange enough, was a song. The Americans, I think, spoke about it and used to sing it quite a lot. It was in the Indian Ocean. And that song, Christmas Island, goes something like this. Let's get away from sleigh bells. Let's get away from snow. Let's make a break some Christmas, dear. I know the place to go. How'd you like to spend Christmas on Christmas Island? How you'd like to spend the holiday away across the sea? How you'd like to spend Christmas on Christmas Island? How'd you like to hang your stocking on a great big coconut tree? How'd you like to stay up late like the islanders do? Wait for Santa to sail in with your presents in a canoe. If you ever spend Christmas on Christmas Island, you will never stray, for every day your Christmas dreams come true. Yeah, the melody is nice, and it's very old, you know, so it is. But I picked it up there maybe about 20 years ago, and I'm still doing it in some of the shows. And if you don't know it, even at home, sing along with me. How'd you like to stay up late like the islanders do? Wait for Santa to sail in with your presents in a canoe. If you ever spend Christmas on Christmas Island, you will never stray, for every day your Christmas dreams come true. Your Christmas dreams will all come true. Christmas Island, I think, is going to go to number one, folks, out there. Do you know what now? I'm going to bring on a nice guest. Actually, he's my nephew. His name is Cyril Moriarty. And we're going to do a further chat about Christmas in Athlone. Now, how are you, son? That's right, here's Sir.
Joe, how are you?
Well, indeed. Now, what would you like to tell me about your events about Christmas?
Well, today is what? The 7th of December?
Yeah.
How many shopping days are left to Christmas, do you think? Huh?
Well, years ago, of course, as you probably know, people never... The only thing they counted years ago was the money in their pockets. There's probably, about 17 days left, I tell you.
17 days, because now we can shop every day.
That's right, yeah.
Not like years ago. There was no Christmas shopping on a Sunday, was there?
No, and you would probably know, there was no supermarkets either.
No.
It was the old grocer. And you saw when the advent of the supermarkets came. What would you say about those fellas?
Yeah, it all changed with the first supermarket, I remember, but diverting a little bit there. The 5-star, was it? Was that the first one? Or was there one before that? Not long.
The 5-star was there. And then I think Dunn's came along then, the big one, wasn't it?
All right, yeah. But before that, the big thing around Christmas was the market.
Oh, the markets. That's great. Well, I'll tell you something before you come in again now. There was many a great tale told about in Athlone about guys getting the goose. Because lots of people had a goose. And this fella particularly, anyway, he bought the goose. And he got it for £0.50 of the square in Athlone. And he went in to Prior's and had a couple of pints for himself. He had more than a couple of pints. And he kind of got jarred. And he stared at the closing time was around 11:30. And then he went home with the goose over his shoulder. I can tell you something, he got a most beautiful welcome when he went home because the bloody thing had to be plucked on Christmas Eve.
I remember the market in the market square in Athlone beside the castle a long time ago.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, your mother, the late Julia Flynn, I remember going over to the market once. I just remember one occasion. Now, I was quite young.
Yeah.
And we went over to pick a turkey.
Yes.
And all the turkeys were hanging up there, hanging alive, suspended upside down, and or at least, they were in a pen, and then they'd be picked up and weighed and all that, and one would be chosen, and then the turkey had to be choked.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I do.
And I remember the first time I saw a poor unfortunate turkey being choked. It was a horrifying experience. So after that, she brought me into Burns's, into the Snug. Was it Burns's at the
Butlers.
time? Or Butlers. Butlers, you're right.
Butlers, yeah.
What was the man from Coosan?
Yeah, I think it was from
Butlers,
Coosan.
you're right.
Butlers.
Butlers beside Burns's, actually.
Yeah, it was
into the
Burns's.
Snug.
Yeah.
And she brought me in for a mineral drink.
That's right.
I'm not sure what she had herself now, but we're in a little
She
Snug
had
in
a hot
Butlers.
claret.
Did she?
That's true at the time. I don't know what you could call it now. It was claret that time, so it was.
All right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Cyril, just
I have vivid memories of that day, actually, and I'm not even sure what age I was. It's
well,
nearly
you would
one
have
of
been
me.
young. If my mother brought you over, you probably were maybe about 6.
I probably was about 6.
And
I'd say,
do you know,
right,
you were too young to know. But the turkey and the goose, as you said, were both choked. Now, there was a price, and the price was 3 pennies.
Right.
And some of them said, Madam, or Ma'am, no, it was no Madam indeed in the market. Ma'am, he said, that old goose should be a penny more because he flitters with his beak. See, what they call the goose had fierce big wings.
Yeah.
And they could fly out and hit you in the face.
Right.
So that was the thing. You're dead right. They were always there. And then they were brought home. And, of course, the rest is history. They had to be plucked.
It had to be plucked. And the sinews had to be
pulled. And they had to be cleaned out.
Remember cleaned out?
Oh, that was another
but
one.
Pulling the sinews.
Yes, the sinews.
And we had to get one of your pliers to do it.
Yes, indeed. And I'll tell you another thing what they had to do. Do you remember they had to singe?
Oh, singe
and the reason for that was to get out the pin feathers.
That's right.
Now, the market was great because there was other people then selling country butter.
Right.
And then there was fresh eggs as well.
Yeah,
it was quite good. And it went the whole semi-perimeter of the castle. And that was really, that's regarding your question about the market.
Indeed.
Now, what about the pubs at that? You were too young.
Well, I was a bit young for it at that stage. Yeah, I was. But you sang a lot back in those days too, didn't you?
But at
You
that
played
time, you see,
music
I
and
tell
that,
you,
did you?
yes. Well, I joined. If anybody out there is listening, or anybody has ever heard of the Friary Choir, yes, I joined the Friary Choir, folks, in 1947, and I'll never forget it, because that was the year of the big snow. And then, well, most people like that, people who went to school, and then they were drafted into choirs. We had St. Mary's Choir and St. Peter's Choir. And then music then on a commercial basis, I joined a few dance bands. And at the time, you only got a pittance, but it kept you in tune with the other. So between the choir and the dance bands, well, it was okay. I got through to it until I decided then I had to do further. So I went to Tech for secondary. My secondary school was the technical school in Athlone.
Right, yeah, the old Tech. Yeah.
So the rest is kind of half history. Now, tell me about your checkered career.
Oh, I won't. Not on this
Early
broadcast.
on.
No, can I just bring you back to
Yeah.
Christmas for a minute?
Yeah.
Visitors at Christmas. I remember, did May, your sister,
Yes.
come home at the Christmas many a time, or was it before the Christmas or what? Well, I remember parties certainly around that time in Railway View.
It was, but Cyril, see, the 30s, you weren't even born in the 30s.
I was born in the 50s.
In the 50s, you see.
Mm,
May would have been around, and May, my elder sister.
In the
Yeah,
early
there
years,
was music, and then there was parties. And there was parties in every house. There might be an old melodeon going and a couple of old drinks. But May spent, she worked in the woolen mills, actually,
Yes.
as your mother did as well.
Yes.
And I mean, the woolen mills kept the whole town going until it went up in flames, and I think it was 1935.
Right.
And those people had to go to England. A lot of them went to Yorkshire, and May went down to Salisbury in England. So you wouldn't have remembered that. No.
Oh, not those years, no. But in the I suppose maybe into the 60s, I'd be more aware of those years, which were kind of becoming good years in Ireland then, where it was starting to come along. Ireland, it was poorer before that, indeed.
Well, you're dead right. The 60s was the beginning of the boom, not only in Athlone, but I say in Ireland mostly. The halcyon days of the 60s, everything started to move. And it was the era of the show bands as well. It's when the big bands began to die out. You know, the big bands with the music stands and the music. As the guys said with the Clipper Carltons, and by the way, they were the people who did start the show band scene.
But okay, taking that, the show bands and that, around Christmas, what were the big events, the dances, the music, the venues? What were there big Christmas dances? Was the Friary Social, was that a Christmas thing?
No, the Friary
No, that was a
Social
different
would have been
time.
after Christmas.
After. All
Or
right.
sometimes maybe in November.
Right.
But
Coming into
yes,
Christmas, were there supper dances, or
there
what
were.
were there?
There
What
were a
type
lot
of
of
things
people.
were there?
We say like the Gardaí, the ESB, all those people always had big dances. They were dinner dances, and they went
dinner
on till
dances, yeah.
10 to 3 in the morning.
Really?
Oh, they did indeed.
But
No
all
doubt about
minerals, was it?
it was hard going, so it was. And, you know, in Athlone we had Sydney Shine, you had Jack Bain. Oh, who else did you have? You had about 3 or 4 big bands at the time. And, well, they were the in thing. And the dances would start at around 10 o'clock at night, and they would go on until 3 in the morning. Now, some of them weren't licensed, so they could bring a license into the dance.
Yeah.
Some publican would sign off his license for the night, and they go in. And there were huge events, like I say. And then the songs were great because they were remembering the lovely songs from the 30s, the 40s, which was the war years, which was great songs, and the 50s, sir, which I believe was the nicest decade in my life for music.
Right.
Now,
And tell us, what were the main venues? I mean, I would have known like of the Crescent Ballroom, but before that there were many other places where dances and events were held.
yeah, well,
where would it have been back in the
my-
40s, the 50s, the 60s?
well, just to try and my old mind sometimes begins to wonder. But I'll tell you something. The Crescent started in 1939.
Really, that
Mr.
early?
Mr.
Oh.
Shine actually built. It was never intended to be a ballroom.
Right.
It was a big house,
Right.
and anybody who passed by. So there was a room left over, kind of a biggish room. And Frank Shine, God rest him, said to his father, he said, "What are we going to do with this?" The father said, "Sure, we'll just leave it as a welcoming room for someone."
Right.
So Frank had learned the double bass. Sidney was young, but he was learning piano. So they got the
Yes.
idea to just have a little bit of music there, right? And so it slowly developed into a dance hall. Then you had St. Peter's Hall, right? And that was the church before the new cathedral was built.
All right.
And that was converted into now the Dean Crow Hall.
Yes.
But before that, there was a great dancing hall as well. And then you had, you had the Royal Hotel, you had the Shamrock Lodge Hotel. They in turn would have functions. And you had St. Mary's Hall, which was a parochial hall. They would also have dances.
And later on, then places like the Jolly Mariner,
That's right.
the Shannon
Queen,
Queen, not
yeah.
forgetting the famous Shannon Queen in the halcyon days.
That's right, too.
Indeed.
I would
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
forget it, though, if you don't mind. So I think we should skip on the show.
All right, we're moving quickly
Yeah.
along. Okay, Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas stockings were a bit of a thing. In your time, I suppose, at least in the earlier years, it wouldn't have been as sort of it wouldn't have got as much or as fancy presents as I suppose in my days. What did you get
Yeah,
for
you're-
Christmas?
you're
What's
right.
your favourite?
Yeah, there was no elaborations that time. You're closely on it, actually, yeah. The big thing was the Christmas stocking. And lots of kids had to settle for a Christmas stocking.
Right.
I remember Burgess's in that lawn. We used to look in the window at them, you know. Then if you were very lucky and if your parents had a few shillings, after that was a track, do you know the train and track? And they'd go around in circles, a little thing they used to go around
You'd
like
wind
that.
them up, would you?
Yeah. No, everybody wouldn't get one. The girls, of course, always got dolls.
Right.
That was part of the package. But there's no doubt about it. Things were meagre at that time until the halcyon days, as you said, in the 60s.
60s it really
And then they started
to
getting
happen,
very
yeah.
elaborate
Yeah.
presents.
And of course, people used to go to Dublin. What was the day? Was it the 8th of December?
Yeah, that was the big shopping day for all
everyone
the...
headed for Dublin on the train, I suppose.
it was on the
time,
train,
wasn't it?
yeah.
All on the train.
Well, you're dead right. That
to
was the big shopping
Cleary's
day.
and what all the shops up? Hector Gray's. Was
Well,
that one?
Well,
Or was that later?
Cleary's was number
Cleary's
one,
was the
of
big
course.
one.
That in the Collar Street. I remember that.
Mm.
And, oh, God. Now, you asked me to sing a song for you there a minute ago. And
Yeah. A song. I was talking to you before we started.
you were talking to me about Christmas Island, but
Yeah,
you know
no,
what?
but
I tell you, I'm going to go sing a song. I might make a few mistakes, but I would like to tell my listeners out there about this song. It's called A Winter's Tale, folks. Now, A Winter's Tale was written, believe it or not, in 1952 by Tim Rice and Mike Batt. An ordinary song, so they thought. And it was left there, and until a fella by the name of David Essex, I do believe, I'm open to correction, folks, if you're out there, he got his hands on it, and he recorded it, I think, in 1952, or maybe a little later. And that was all right, too. And it was just a winter's tale. So the years passed, and the decades passed as well. And all of a sudden, Winter's Tale became synonymous with Christmas. It was never actually a Christmas song, or never meant to be a Christmas song. And as anybody now who knows it and listens to it, well, it's part of the season. It is part of the Christmas season. And I'm going to have a go at it. And if I make an idiot out of it, folks, I know you'll forgive me. Let's see what happens.
very good.
Even the introduction, of course, is very Christmassy, if you think of it, you know. The nights are colder now. Maybe I should close the door. And anyway, the snow has covered all your footsteps. and I can follow you no more. The fire still burns at night. My memories are warm and clear. But everybody knows it's hard to be alone at this time of year. Everybody singing? It was only a winter's tale, just another winter's tale. And why should the world take notice of one more love that's failed? It's a love that could never be, though it meant a lot to you and me. On a worldwide scale, we're just another winter's tale. While I stand alone, a bell is ringing far away. I wonder if you hear, I wonder if you're listening. I wonder where you are today. Good luck, I wish you well, for all that wishes may be worth. I hope that love and strength are with you for the length of your time on earth. Everybody singing, sir. It was only a winter's tale, just another winter's tale. And why should the world take notice of one more love that's failed? It's a love that could never be, though it meant a lot to you and me. On a worldwide scale, we're just another winter's tale. One more time, everybody. It was only a winter's tale, just another winter's tale. And why should the world take notice of one more love that's failed? It's a love that can never be, though it meant a lot to you and me. On a worldwide scale, we're just another winter's tale. On a worldwide scale, we're just another winter's tale. Oh dear, I'm a bit hoarse and I think it's a bit stuffy in the studio. So back to you, will we go and have a drink?
I was just about to say that.
There's a pretty spot in Ireland.
Cyril Moriarty, and I hope you did like the Winter's Tale as well. And it was an oldie and never meant to be Irish. Look, and I'm going to leave you folks and I'm going to get off the air now. And until I see you once again, good night, God bless, and thank you very much indeed. From Cyril and myself.
Very good, very good.
There's a pretty spot in Ireland.